Good morning, crime community. I'm here to read about Aurora Lee. Deep horse with resolution, I would work to better ends or play in earnest. Heavens, I think I should be almost popular. If this went on, I ripped my verses up and found no blood upon the rapier's point. The heart in them was just an embryo's heart, which never yet had beat, and it should die. Just scraps of make believe, galvanic life, mere tones inorganized to any tune. And yet I felt it in me where it burnt, like three hot fire seeds of creation held. In Jove's clenched palm, words of worlds were sown, but I was no Juno even, my hand was shut in weak convulsion, woman's ill, and when I yearned to lose a finger, lo, the nerve revolted, 'tis the same even now. My hand may never haply open large, before the spark is quenched or the palm charred, to prove the power no else than my plane. It burnt, my whole life burned with it, and light, no sunlight and nor torchlight flashed. My steps out through the slow and difficult road, I had grown distrustful, and to forward springs, the season's books endure significance of morals dropping round me, lively books. The ash is livelier venture than the yo, and yet the yo's longer green and alone, found worthy of the holy Christmas time. Will plant more yews if possible, albeit will plant the graveyards with them, day and night. I worked my rhythmic thoughts and furrowed up, but watch and slumber with long lines of life which did not suit their season. The rose fell from either cheek, my eyes globed luminous through orbs of blue shadow, and my pulse would shudder along the purple veined wrist like a shot yard bird. Use stern, set face to face with use ideal, and when people came and said, "You work too much, you are looking ill," I smiled for pity of them who pitied me, and though I should be better soon, perhaps, for those ill looks, observe I means in youth, for I, the conscious and eternal soul, with all its ends and not the outside life, the parcel man, the doublet of the flesh, and so much liver, lungs, intrigament, which makes a sum of I hereafter when world talkers talk of doing well or ill. I prosper if I gain a step, although a nail then pierced my foot all through my brain, embracing any truth froze paralyzed. I prosper, I but change my instrument. I break the spade off, digging deep for gold, and catch the mattock up. I work on, through all the bristling fence and nights and days, while hedges times in from the eternities. I struggle, never stop to note the stakes which hurt me in my course. The midnight oil would stink sometimes. Then came some vulgar needs. I had to live, that therefore I might work, and being out but poor, I was constrained for life to work with one hand for the booksellers, while working for the other for myself. And art, your swim with feet as well as hands, or make small way, I apprehend this. In England, no lies by verse so that lives, and apprehending, I resolve my prose to make a space to sphere my living verse. I wrote encyclopedias, magazines, weekly papers, holding up my name to keep it from the mud. I learnt the use of the editorial we in our review, and courtly ladies the fine trick of trains, and swept it grandly through the open doors. And if one could not pass through these doors at all, save so encumbered, a tale besides carved many an article on cherry stones to swoot like readers sometimes in the lines, revealing it was sad the mallet hand, but that I never vouch for. Would you do for bread? Will taste in common grain, not grapes, although you have vineyard in Champagne, much less than Nephologia, as mine was peradventure, having bread, but just some many days, just breathing room. For body and verse I stood up straight and worked my veritable work as the soul, which grows within a child, makes the child grow, or as the fairy sap, the touch from God, carrying through a tree, dilates the bark, and roughs the scales and knobs before it strikes the summer foliage out in the green flame. So life in deepening with me deepened all the course I took, the work I did, and Dean, the academic law, convinced of sin, the critics crying out in the falling off, regretting the first manner, but I felt my heart life throbbing in my verse to show it lived, it also, certes incomplete, disordered with all atom in the blood, but even its various tumors, warts, and wens, still organized by the implying life. A lady called upon me on such a day, and had the low voice of your English dames, unused it seems to need rise half a note to catch attention in their quiet mood, as if they lived too high above the earth, and that to put out them out in anything, so gentle because verily so proud, so wary and afraid of hurting you, by no means that you are not really vile, but that they would not touch you with their foot to push you to your place, so self-possessed, you're gracious and consolating, it takes an effort in their presence to speak truth. You know the sort of woman, brilliant stuff and out of nature, Lady Waldemar. She said her name quite simply, as if it meant not much indeed, but something took my hands and smiled as if her smile could help my case, and dropped her eyes on me to let them melt. In this, she said, the muse? No, Sybil, even, I answered, since she fails to guess the cause which taxed you with this visit, madame. Good, she said. I valued that sincere at once. Perhaps if I found a literal muse, the visit might have taxed me as it is, and wear your blue so chiefly in your eyes, the fair Aurora, in a frank good way. It comforts my entirely for your fame, as well as for your trouble of ascent to this Olympus. There, a silver laugh ran rippling through the quickened little breasts, and steep stairs somewhat justified, but still your ladyship has left me curious why you dared the risk of finding the said muse. Ah, keep me, notwithstanding, to the point, like any pendant in the blue of eyes. And awful as in stalking, after all, I wonder what you have my business out. Before I breathe, exact the epic plunge, in spite of gasp. Well, naturally, you think I'm come here as the lion's hunters go to deserts to secure you with a trap. Your exhibition in my drawing rooms, in zoologic sorties, not in the least roar softly at me. I am frivolous. I dare say I have played a wild beast shows other like other women in my class, but now I meet my lion simply, and Androcles met his when at his mercy. So she bent her head as queens may mock, then lifting up her eyelids with a real grave queenly look, which ruled and would not spare, not even herself. I think you have a cousin, Romney Lee. You bring a word from him. My eyes leapt upon to the very height of hers, a word from him. I bring a word about him, actually, but first she pressed me with her urgent eyes. You do not love him, you? You're frank at least. You're putting question, madame. I replied, I love my cousin, Cousin Lee, no more. I guessed as I guessed as much. I'm ready to be frank and answering also. If you'll question me, or even for something less, you stand outside, you arrest women of the common sex, and shall not with us, and exceed us so, perhaps by what you're mulcted in your hearts, being starved at make your heads, so run the old traditions of you. I can therefore speak without the natural shame which creatures feel when speaking on their level to their like. There's many a papist she would rather die than own to her maid she put a ribbon on to catch a indifferent eye of such a man, who would yet count adulteries in her beads at Holy Mary's shrine, and never blush because the saints are so far off. We lose all modesty before them. Thus today, 'tis I love Romney Lee, forbear, I cried. If he hears no muse, still less in any saint, not even a friend like Lady Waldemar should make confessions. That's unkindly said. If no friend that forbids to make a friend, to join to our confession ere we have done, I love your cousin, and it seems unwise to say so. It's still foolisher, we're frank, to feel so. My first husband left me young, and pretty young, so please you, and rich enough to keep my booth in Mayfair with the rest. To happy issues, there are marquises would serve 7 years to call me wife, I know, and after 7 I might consider it, and there's some comfort in the marquisate when all's said, yes, but after the 7 years, I know, love Romney, you put up your lip, so like a Lee, so like him, pardon me, I'm well aware I do not derogate in loving Romney Lee. The name is good, the means are excellent, but the man, heaven help us both, I am near as mad as he in loving such as one, and slowly swung her heavy ringlets till they touched her smile, and reasonably sorry for herself, and thus continued as a true Miss Lee. I have not, without struggling, come to this. I took a master in the German tongue, and gained a little, went to Paris twice, and after all this love, you eat of love, and do a vile thing, as if you ate of garlic, which, what else you eat, tastes uniformly acrid to your peach, reminds you of your onion. I am coarse. Well, love's coarse, nature's coarse. Ah, there's the rub. We fair fine ladies who park out our lives from common cheap paths cannot help the crows from flying over where our natural still, as Blosalinda drape as perfectly in lion's velvet. We are not for that. Lay figures, look you, you have hearts within, warm, live, improvident, and decent hearts, and ready for outrageous ends and acts, and any distress, temptress of them all, that Romney groins and toils for. We catch love, and ever fevers in a vulgar way. Love will not be outwitted by our wit, nor outrun by our epages. Mine persisted, spite of efforts, all my cards turn up at Romney Lee, my German stop. All Germain Weathersism, my Paris rounds, return me from the Champs-Élysées, just a ghost, a sighting like Dito's. I came home, uncured, convicted rather to myself of being in love, that's coarse, you'll say. I'm talking garlic. Coldly, I replied, apologize for atheism, not love. For me, I do believe in love and God. I know my cousin, Lady Waldemar. I know not, yet I say as much as this. Whatever loves him, not her, not excuse, not cleanse herself, not love such a man. She may not do it with such unworthy love. He cannot stoop and take it, said it sad, austerely, like a youthful prophetess who knits her brows across her pretty eyes to keep them back from following the gray flight of doves between the temple columns. Dear, be kinder with me. Let us two be friends. I'm a mere woman, a mere weak perhaps. Through being so proud, you're better as far for him. He's best. Indeed, he builds his goodness up so high he topples down to the other side and makes a sort of badness. Where's the worst I have to say against your cousin's best? And so be mild, Aurora, with my worst, and for his sake, if not mine, if own myself incredulous of confidence like this, availing him of you, and I myself of being worthy of him in any love of your sense of not so, let it pass. And yet I say him, if I marry him, let that pass too. So this is a good time to let it pass between the love of Aurora Lee and her cousin Romney. We shall continue it for another day. We might have an update on the ghost of Donna McElwain pretty soon. We'll keep you informed of that. So again, we pray for peace in the world, in our country. And amen. And now I will end the stream. So like, share, and enjoy, and have a nice day.